Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. I'm Sean, this is the Game Room, and we are continuing with our Interceptor painting. We're doing the Babylonian Union this time. And you can see the color scheme we're going to just follow the box color scheme here of the green, yellow, blue windshields, and the metallic for like the weapons and stuff. So without further ado, let's jump to the painting table. Alright, so you can see here this is kind of what we're going for as the end result. Again, in the box set you get different ships, you get 10 different ships, but they all have lots of detail, so let's kind of go over this. The whole ship, I always paint the bottom at the basic color, so the bottom's going to be all green. But this area, this center angle right here, if you can see that, to the front of the ship, so from here, all of this on both sides, and then all this will be yellow. The windshields are going to be the blue. These pieces here, and the tips of the weapons will be metallic, and the rest of the ship will be green. And the colors that I'm going to use for this are Shamrock Green, Maize Yellow, Magic Blue for the windscreen. The silver will be Broadsword Silver. For the engine in the back, it'll be a mix of yellow, and then we'll touch some orange in the center just to give it a little flame as I throw the paints down. And then we'll do it with a mix of dark tone, which is going to be 10 drops of dark tone to 3 drops of water is what I found seems to work the best for me. Alright, so I'm going to start with the Maize Yellow. Reason why, and we always have, it's primed with Gray Seer, so always keep your Gray Seer handy in case of any mishaps that you might need to touch up. Alright, so without further ado, let's get going. Alright, I'm going to go ahead and switch over to a different color real quick. Alright, now I'm going to do the magic blue for the windscreens. And I'll show you how I do this so that I can get the support beams easier. What I try to do is try not to color the support beams if possible, but if you do, you're just going to go back over them with your gray sear. And sometimes it's just, some of the ships, it's just easier to just plan to do it that way. Alright, so as you can see there, I just went ahead and painted over all of those supports. I'm just going to go back and touch it up with the gray sear as soon as it dries, and then we'll hit it with the yellow to give the yellow over those supports. Okay, so it's actually pretty, I mean, I'm using all speed paint too, so they actually dry pretty quick. So go ahead and do the gray sear now. And I flattened out the bristles so you can kind of see there as much as possible. And with just the paint, I'm going to touch it just the side, and I'm just going to run right down the line. Just like so. Alright, and then doing the same thing with the yellow. We're going to use our maize yellow. Again, we're going to flatten out our brush, and we're just going to go over. Just touching it with the edge of the brush. Now, even if it's not perfect, or you touch a little bit of the blue with the yellow, you can touch it back up with the blue, but it's not really going to matter once we add the wash. The wash will kind of just tie all these colors together. But there you go. Whoop, there you go. So you can kind of see that now all the yellow is completed. All right, the next part is going to be the shamrock green, and we're going to have a little bit of that. Especially the back of the model. It's going to have quite a bit. So I'm going to go back to my regiment brush, which I've seen a lot of use. If you watch the other videos that I do for painting, I've been using this brush for a long time to do many things. But you don't want too much of the speed paint because you don't want it to get everywhere. All right. Now that blue or the green is going to dry really, really quick. So let's move on to our broadsword silver is what we're going to do next, and we don't need much of that at all. For that, we're just going to do the tips here. And we're going to do these metal pieces here. Alright, now I'm going to go back to the yellow. And for the yellow, I'm going to start the engine back here, which actually, with this particular model, doesn't look like it was actually fully formed, but we'll work with it. And a little touch up back here. Touch up here on the nose. Alright. And then I should have done this already, but I totally missed it, or forgot. We're going to do metallic right here. Like so. Oh, sorry. Like so. Alright, we only have one more to do before our wash. And that is, here we go, our Fire Giant Orange. We're going to stick that in the yellow while the yellow is still drying, just to kind of blend that just a little bit to give it like it's a that's where the engine is. Oh, right there. Apologies. Alright. Now, I'm going to let that completely dry, which is only going to take a few minutes, while I mix up the dark tone wash. Be right back. Alright, now that it's all dry, like I said, it's the wash that I'm using is the dark tone 10 to 3. So 10 drops of dark wash to 3 drops of water. And the water is just to help, I don't want it super dark, but I want it to fill in all of the details. So, smear it on here really good, and then we're going to smooth it out so that we don't basically make the ship look black. What we wanted to do is do exactly that. Wanted to fill in all of those creases, all of the detail to really make it pop. Now this is the bottom. You're not going to see the bottom. Well, I mean, you could, but you're really going to see the top. So I'm going to dry off my brush over here, and then I'm going to just touch the places where there's a lot. I really feel like there's just too much. I want it to sit in those crevices, but I don't want it to totally obscure the detail. So switching to my lighter brush, I'm going to just run this over the yellow just to remove some sitting on the surface, but not too much. I want to make sure we get it all the way around. You don't want it pooling anywhere. Like underneath here, you can see where it's really starts to pool. So we're just going to run our brush over it, just to get rid of that excess. But like that's looking pretty good. That's looking pretty good. We're going to now. When you put this, you want to make it as level as possible so it sits, because if it's at an angle, it will gravitate towards, gravity will pull the wash in that direction. All right, so I'm gonna let that dry. This one's gonna take a little bit. All right, and now it's dry. So there you go. I mean, that's what I was envisioning when we looked at this. So if we compare it to some of the others, I mean, it's depending on how much yellow you want to put in and whatnot. I'll show you the picture of the whole group here at the end. But there you go. Very easy, very, very very simple technique. It's only 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 colors and a wash, so you can do this very quickly. Back here, and that took us all of this video is sitting at 23 minutes now. So literally 20-ish minutes, you can get your models painted. You can paint the entire force in an afternoon. So Interceptor, the Babylonian Union. You get the 10 ships, you get the Babylonian cards, and everything you need to play that one. Interceptor, it's a fun game. It's a fighter combat game, and now with their larger mass ship battle, which we tried out at Gen Con this year, and a very different game. Lots and lots of cool stuff with that one. If they were to launch sorties, that's what Interceptor is. So it's really just the fighter combat. But I really do like the fighter combat because you can play with just 1 or 2 ships on each side and have a great game. So anyway, like I said, super simple. Have a wonderful evening. Thanks for watching. And as always, God bless. Have a great night. Bye now.